Today, a tough edit on a leopard in a tree. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back to Drive On Photography. Today we've got a quick edit here of a leopard. This is over in Tanzania, our last photo safari. This image is probably one of the hardest images I had to edit out of that whole trip. The cat was back in the trees. He was well in the shade. His fur, spots, everything blended in with the background. Had a blown out sky in there. Had some distractions in there. It's really a tough edit. It would be definitely an advanced edit. And today we're just going to get at a starting point. I'm going to get this to a point that you can say, hey, I can see the cat. I've got some separation between the cat itself and the background. And we'll come back later, take a look at what we may do with that sky. But let's jump over into Lightroom here and give you a quick look at edit and welcome your comments and your thoughts. I might even put the raw file out there on Patreon and let you download that and have your own shot at editing. Show me what you come up with on your own. So here we go over in Lightroom. Okay, folks, we're back over here in Lightroom now. This is the image I was talking about on the intro. Of all the images I took while I was in Tanzania, this is probably the most challenging image to edit. As you can see, the leopard in this case is back in the shadows. He blends in well with the environment. The tree and his skin tone, or the fur, the spots, everything, ideally, of course, he blends in, as he should. Makes it very hard. Late in the afternoon here, in the shadows. The sun is coming from the left in this case, even though there's a overcast sky. So what would you do? Where would you start? One of the things I tell students is try to get rid of all your distractions first. Look for a picture within a picture. What can I do here to get rid of distractions and also get me to the subject? So keep in mind your rule of thirds. Let's start with a crop. So the first thing I'm going to do here is select my crop tool. If you'll hold your shift button while you're clicking and dragging with your mouse, it'll keep your aspect ratio the same. Let's just start right here, see if we get the cat maybe in the upper 1/3. So start somewhere about right there. So you can see that got rid of all of my sky distraction pretty much. All I have to worry about is this over here in a little bit, and we'll decide what we want to do with that a little bit later. Now, one of the things that I noticed in editing this image was, even though we've got the new AI tools and we have all the new capability in like Adobe Camera Raw and Lightroom, check this out. Catch my masking tool, my select tool here. I'm going to select subject. And look what it did. Pick something totally random. That's not my subject. So all I can do in this case is I'm going to subtract, pick a brush, get rid of the sky because that is not what I wanted. Did not want any of this right here. We got to deal with that separately in a minute. So anyway, I'm going to have to come back now and add. We'll do the brush again, and we'll just go over here and make a real light selection of the cat. When you're using a brush, if you use your left and right mouse or bracket buttons, you can make your brush smaller. So we use the left bracket button here to make it a little bit smaller. Get up in here in the ear area, try to make that as close as I can. I might have spilled over a little bit, so let's come back over here. Let's just come around the edge. He blends in so well, it makes it really, really hard to select. Obviously, the software didn't find it, so. All right, so now we've got the cat, the leopard selected. Let's bump the exposure just a little. I don't want to go a lot right here. because I don't want it to look fake. And I'm going to show you an example here just in a second of what fake looks like. I will add just a little bit of contrast to help bring out those spots. I don't think the highlights will do too much here. It brings out a smidge, but not enough probably to worry about. I'm going to leave that. We'll leave that at 15. Shadows can probably help because he is in the shadows, but look, if I go too much, it really punches it over the top. We don't want it. We don't want it to look fake. So you can always come back and redo your edits later, but get a starting point. Let's start maybe right there. I'm not going to mess with the color temperature in this case because I think it would blow the cat out. I'll show you what I mean here. It just, it's already dark in there. We don't want to make it any cooler. If I try to go up on it, it gets the orangey effect. It just don't look right. So we'll leave that alone. Texture, texture probably ain't a bad idea. I usually go with 10 or 15 on something that's got grain to it like this. We'll do maybe 10 on the clarity, just to give it a little bit of punch in these black areas. I'm going to leave dehaze alone. Sharpness, let's just go all the way up and see what it does. It does work on the whiskers there. Absolutely works on the definition of the spots and the whiskers. You can see how sharp those whiskers are. Okay, we'll go with that right there for now. And we'll call that good. Let me get you a quick look here. We'll zoom in on the, oops. You can get a look at the eyes and the whiskers there. So, what's next? Well, I still think this back here, even though it's really close to the same tones, we need to darken that down. Now, we can do that a lot of ways. You could use a linear gradient right here. We can, let's go back to that. Come on, let's do a plus. Let's do a linear gradient. Let's see if I can come over here. You could also probably use your vignetting tool as well. Let's come the other way here. Come over to the edge. Go down again about a half to one stop. All we've done is tone that down a little just to get a little bit of definition there. This gives you a rough starting point that you could really fine-tune this animal. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way it is right now as far as a very rough edit. One of the things I would probably come back in here and look at is potentially, get my brush tool here. I want to zoom in on the cat. Let's get those eyes. Just ever so slightly. Let's pump up a little bit of light in there. And maybe a little contrast. You can actually see the veining in his eyes. You may not be able to see that on your end, but the Canon 5D and the 100 to 500 is incredibly sharp. I was probably 150 feet away from this animal up in the tree, but I can still see the veining in the eyes right here. All right, we'll see what that does when we come back out here. It just gave it a little bit of a punch in the eyes right there. So I'm going to show you a real quick picture of what not to do. Here's pushed too hard, pushed over the top. The sky replacement is probably okay. I don't really have a problem with that. But this over here, I punched way up on the clarity, the texture, and some saturation just to show you what not to do. But come back here, you've got a little bit more realistic shot. Keep in mind, the cat was in the shade. He was back in the trees. You don't want it to look, you want it to be what you saw when you took the image. You don't want it to be something that just looks like it was properly lit, had strobes out there and everything else. So that's a pretty good starting point. I'm going to leave that alone for now. I might even consider coming back and brightening that cat up a smidge, but I think I'm going to let that resonate a little bit, and we'll go from there. All right, well, back over here with you. Hope you enjoyed that short edit. You can see that's a tough edit. Everything there was in the same color tone. Very hard to create separation when everything looks virtually the same. Browns, the light tans in there, the blacks and everything from the animal spots and the shadows in there. The sky obviously was blown out. It was an overcast day there. It was late in the afternoon. That cat was back in the trees. Even when he come down in the grass, and I'll throw a couple of video or images up here so you can see a better image where he was out on the grass, well lit. But we hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get this off the ground. It needs viewers. It needs the watch time. It needs subscribers. It needs all that stuff to try to help get the word out there to show that there's a new channel dealing with photography. And we're going to cover a lot of topics in here. We'll do things from outings here in the Blue Ridge Parkway over in the Smoky Mountains, local here in Southwest Virginia, East Tennessee, as well as our destination workshops and our local workshops. We got a couple of things coming up here locally. Might even do a model shoot or a couple of professional headshots and some real estate shoots with some of the real estate professionals downtown to let you start getting a look at that. So stay tuned, and thanks for joining.